Checkpoint Theatre presents Vulnerable, written and performed by Cheyenne Alexandria Phillips, dramaturged and directed by Jose Sulaiman, with music and sound design by Shah Tahir. 1. In normal times.
The word of the year is coping. Vulnerably. Every day, I look in the mirror, my eyes honing in on my weakest point, a healed scar that once split open my chest, allowing access to my most vital organ, extending my life 27 years ago. Today, my life expectancy is not determined by procedures performed on an operating table, but by the walls I have memorized for years and how impermeable they would be at holding the outside world away from me, or rather, my ability to sit still inside and how strong I must be to cope with my vulnerability. Being a patient. I don't know when I knew I would need follow-up forever. For the longest time, I thought it was normal. I would go to KKH Women's and Children's Hospital and there would be other kids in school uniforms, going for appointments too. We play at the playground in the clinic. The older kids do homework while waiting. When you are a child, you usually go with your parents. It would be really strange if you didn't. All the parents know what is going on without asking too many questions. It just feels like daycare with doctors. When I am not considered a child anymore, I am transferred to Singapore General Hospital. The clinic is behind the iconic Bauer building, and it is always crowded. There are so many aunties and uncles waiting for their number, wondering why they wait so long for a 5-minute appointment. Some are in wheelchairs, some are with their adult children, some are banging on the doors like that would make a difference. They look at me and think, oh, how nice. This girl is accompanying her mother. Then I walk through the door alone, and their faces change. What happened to this child? Oh, sayang, are you okay? It doesn't happen so much anymore. SGH decided to build this big, beautiful building, call it National Heart Centre Singapore, and now I can sit in a waiting area away from most of the aunties and uncles. And it barely has people some days. Sometimes, I see other young people around my age. Did I play with them in the playground at the clinic at KKH? I don't recognize anybody. I don't think our appointments overlapped that often. We are all patients here. When you are a patient, it changes everything. You cannot hide it, especially in a hospital. It is there in your file or on your chart. Everyone who picks it up knows what is happening. They know what is wrong with you. Now they don't even need to see my file. They ask, who is the patient? And I say, me. And then they go, oh, Dr. Tan's patient, is it? Dr. Tan is the boss. Seriously, she the boss. She took over all the transfers from KKH, so most of her patients are younger than average. That's why I get recognized as her patient. She doesn't schedule herself to see me very often though. I typically get shuffled around her junior staff, and she'll pop her head in and say hi. It's because I'm in stable condition, not because she doesn't like me. I think. I always hope it's a junior doctor. Making the junior doctors squirm is the most fun thing to do in a hospital. I tell them, Doctor, I'm off to Panama and there's no access to emergency medical facilities. Or, Doctor, I regularly carry a snake at work, you know? they never know what to say after that. When doctors get out of medical school, they don't see people. They see patients. They see conditions. They see symptoms. And they talk treatment, expecting that the patient will go and do said treatment. I am just offering them additional education that medical school did not prepare them fully for. Some patients have a mind of their own. When Dr. Tan steps in, she isn't fazed by anything I say. She's either used to it or she knows I'm trying to annoy her, so she doesn't freak out in the way I want her to. I'm pretty sure she wrote it all down in my file that her juniors don't read and mentally prepare themselves for. She did advise against bungee jumping though. Too much of a risk, Cheyenne. I should tell her I'm going to do it. I should tell her I'm going to do it as part of Singapore Rediscovers and I'm supporting the economy. I've got to try and throw her off a cliff every now and again. Before the requirement to wear masks kicked in, Dr. Tan told me the best thing to do would be to social distance. They didn't know what they were dealing with at the time. It was precautionary advice, and I listened. For the most part. The Live Animal Park. 18 January 2020. I report at 9 a.m. to the Live Animal Park for the annual Great Gathering of Guides. At the beginning of each year, we spend a day together, training and retraining, bonding and catching up. Most of us are here, all in different coloured work t-shirts. The rich blue shirts with yellow lettering. I wish I had that design in my collection. There is no hierarchy attached to the shirt colours. I just want this design to be mine after another year of service. This is the start of my 6th year at the Live Animal Park. I am one of the longest serving guides in the room. My collection of work shirts is huge. But I still want the one that looks like a hyacinth macaw. It's a very easy day. A lot of team building games, some updates to the protocol, telling each other we should work more together, like it is our decision who is assigned together for a program. We tell silly inside jokes and retell old camp stories from last year, like it was ages ago. At the end of the day, we take a picture. We organize ourselves by our shirt colors. We become this color-coded glob of over 35 people, huddling close together to squeeze into the tight frame. I rush off when we are dismissed. Had I known it would be my last day, I would have lingered on. A wedding. 29th February 2020. Today was a risk. I get all dolled up in what might likely be the last party dress I wear for the year, so I can strut into town and attend a friend's wedding. It's a leap year, and I know if I don't go today, then I have to hear about it for the next 4 years until I can finally wish them happy anniversary. There were close to 100 cases of COVID-19 present in Singapore, and it was likely that the virus was circulating in the community. I was very hesitant over the week deciding if I really wanted to attend. I was watching the news every day, convincing myself that if the situation looked like it was under control, I would go. If there were no new clusters before that day, I would go. I would bring extra hand sanitizer and a mask, just to be safe. So I was on the way to the wedding when the announcement came out. We had exceeded 100 cases in Singapore, and a new cluster had been found in Science Park. Look around the bus, focusing on all the spaces you came in contact with, and start wondering how many people came in contact with those spaces before you. Take out the hand sanitizer and rub it on your hands and up your arms. You could go home. People would understand. But you get off at the next stop. You already prepared the ang pao. You even have the best man's ang pao with you. You cannot not go now. At the wedding venue, look around at the layout. It's your typical wedding. 10 to a table, about 10 tables kind of close together, in 2 rows along the foyer. You sit at your table, plot the most direct route to the exit point, trying to find a way to avoid bottlenecks when the festivities are over. You convince yourself you will go home early. You weren't that close friends anyways. It is not like anyone is going to notice. You are at a table at the back of the room. The university friends table. You are not familiar with everyone there, but try and be polite and introduce yourself. Learn that a number of people at the table work at Science Park. There are alarm bells in your head. You should have gone home. You should have gone home. You should have gone home. You should have stayed home. Phonics. 1st April 2020. Today was my last day of in-person work. Really, today was the last day of work I had scheduled for the year. A lot of what I do involves interacting with people in person, face to face, unmasked. In February, there was a lot of talk about postponements. In March, there was no beating around the bush. The word became cancelled. It's for the best. It's also good that I don't school hop at this time. But I can't help think of my income and how I won't have it in the months to come. I finished up the kindergarten phonics class today. This lesson was unusual because I had to ensure that the kids sit some distance apart and that any games were not too strenuous. But still, it's a phonics class. The kids have to know how to sound the in mask, v in virus, and k in COVID. Now I'm hyper aware of how air moves out of mouths. One kid coughs frequently. It's like a character trait. He would always cough directly into my face or the face of others. I'd have to remind him to cover his mouth or look away. Today I sit him as far away from me as possible. And when he coughs, I tell him we must cover our mouths now. Someone pipes up. It's because of the virus, right, Teacher Shai? Should I explain how her observation is correct? Should I correct her pronunciation of virus? What I understand at this point is that kids may not suffer the effects of this virus, but they can be carriers. And here I am in an enclosed room full of kids, explaining to them the importance of keeping people safe. I come home and take a shower immediately. I don't touch anything from the door until I get in the bathroom. I stand under the hot water for longer than necessary. I message my supervisor that I have finished the session. She thanks me and informs me that she will keep me in the loop if and when lessons restart. I already know I'm not going back. The coughing child haunts me for 2 weeks. That's how long it takes for symptoms to show, right?
Vulnerable is developed and produced by Checkpoint Theatre. To support the creation of original Singapore work, please make a donation to Checkpoint Theatre at www.giving.sg. Checkpoint Theatre's Vulnerable, produced by Jose Sulaiman and Claire Wong, written and performed by Cheyenne Alexandria Phillips, dramaturged and directed by Jose Sulaiman, sound engineering, music and sound design by Shah Tahir, production stage manager is Sumono, assistant dramaturg Mal Yen Tay, marketing and publicity by Lam Ishon and Jane Lim, additional support by Nicole Wong. If you have the time, we would love to hear from you. Please give us your feedback by following the link in this episode's description.